pessimist.
Well, whatever. I don't know who's who.
Well, good
I'll tell
day.
you what.
What's that? We're on the air now, man.
Oh, shit. Oops, sorry.
Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Sunday Night Sports, guys. We had a little bit of technical issues there to start with. Our broadcast started sooner than it was supposed to. I'm not sure what's going on with that. I guess I'm going to have to double check my settings before I post these things, but I'm pretty sure I had it for 5 o'clock Mountain Time, 8 o'clock in Atlantic Canada. So nonetheless, we are on the air, and tonight it's just going to be me and Bladesy, and we are going to take our lumps as Boston fans. But him and I are of the same cloth in that, you know what? We're there when we're winning, but we also appear when we're not doing so well. So, Bladesy, let's get into it. Let's get it over with. The Bruins, I don't know what to say about that Game 7. I know when the game was going on, I posted a few comments. I was very aggravated with the whole thing. But end of the day, you just got to tip your cap to St. Louis. They got what they had to at the right time.
Well, first of all, Duke, I can't believe that you moved to Alberta and forgot how to tell time. But anyway, that's another story. But yeah, no, you know what? That's it. You know, it's a Game 7. You come down to the last final game of the season. It's all you can hope for. You got home ice, and guess what? That team was just better. They were better. You cannot say anything. There's no excuses. There's no penalties or this or that or referee's fault or whoever's fault. You know what? St. Louis came out there, and that was the fear when they came in there instead of San Jose. They were ones that could stand up to the big bad Bruins, and they did, and they actually overcame. And you got to tip your hat. Bennington was awesome, except for that one game. You know what? But he had his shitty game all in one game. So it's only worth one game, and you got to tip your hat, man. But you know what? The Bruins, they overachieved from what no one thought they were going to the finals, and obviously even started the playoffs. You know, it was going to be Tampa Bay and things. So you can't be disappointed. And as Boston fans, we just move on to the next. I mean, that's the way it goes, dude. So,
well, we'd like to think that the next is going to be the World Series, but that's not looking right promising. But we'll get into that a little bit after. You know, where the Bruins are concerned, it was disappointing. I felt really bad for Rask because he almost had me eating the full enchilada of crow. But the bottom line is, end of the day, you still got no ring as the man, right?
I know, but it's not his fault, dude. Come on, man. You got to say that man had some kind of a – go ahead. I'll let you go.
I'll cut him some slack. He's definitely not the reason why. The only thing in that game to me was that second goal by – Peter Angelo, and that was probably of the four of the ones that were scored the way you should score without empty nets. That was the one in that particular spot. He usually was making that save, right? And I just thought, man, and I'm pretty sure he would say if he could have one back, that one there would have been the one, because if he makes that save, it's under a minute left. If he makes that save, they're 1-0 going into the locker room. That's a huge difference, 1-0 to 2-0. Nonetheless, I agree with you. You can't. He's not the reason why they didn't win the cup. It's more about what St. Louis did when they had to do it. Bennington was like 8. Well, after that game, he became 8-2 after losses in the playoffs, and that's huge. I mean, that's big time goaltending right there. And he was just phenomenal. I mean, I think his biggest save was that one. They were all big, especially in the first. But that one in the third period, I think it was around the 13-minute mark. It was still 2-0. And he makes that save there. That, to me, I think was what turned the game around to where you pretty well knew it was going to be St. Louis's night and stuff. And the friggin' CBC, they started the game off, and here you are as a fan. You're trying to get your game face on. And what do? They bring that story on with that little girl from St. Louis, Leah. Now, I can be pretty hard as a fan, but how do you get ready for something like that? What a great story.
Well, number one, you shouldn't be watching on the CBC. You got to be watching on NBC, where they're a little more unbiased, for crying out loud. I mean, the CBC hates the Bruins. We know that. We've always known, except for Don Cherry, of course, but they hate Don Cherry. I think they just can't get rid of him. But No, I understand. I understand totally about Layla Anderson or whatever. And I actually saw the clip of her and her mother there before it even happened, and she ended up getting a trip out to Boston, and telling her daughter that the doctor said it was okay. And I mean, oh my God, you can't. That goes beyond hockey, obviously, and you can't feel anything but happy for her, for sure. And I mean, that's beside the point. This is sports. We wish their Bruins to win. They did not. They got beat. They got beat by a better team. Simple as that. Marchand fucked that one up at the end of that first period. There's no doubt about that. But you know what? People make mistakes. He made a mistake. There's no way he would come off there with 8 seconds left in that period if he knew there was somebody else on the other side. But he did. So, shit happens. And we lost, and we move on. And you know what? Next year is a new year. And the Bruins will be there again. Maybe not in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup, but at the playoffs, just like, every year they have a shot. And that's good. But it was tough. But I think you said something about, when you get into the finals or whatever, and it's really devastating. For me personally, I think it's more devastating when you lose before the finals, just because, and it's just me, but I'm not going to watch hockey after the Bruins are out. That's me personally. So I enjoy watching hockey if the Bruins are in there and have a chance to win. So for me, if they get beat out early, it takes away from some of my enjoyment of, getting hyped up for these things. So when it comes down to the last game, guess what? There were no more games. Yes, we'd like to win. Save me $40 for a new hat. I guess that's what I say.
For sure.
I mean, we can say that when you got so many championships in the last 20 years. Other than that, that's just for the haters. Anyway, but seriously, it was good. Glad there was no controversies in that last game. The best team won. What do you want us to say?
Yep. And that's the thing, I'm glad you brought that up, because as we all know, the officiating took a lot of criticism, sometimes rightfully so. Sometimes maybe we overstated it at times. But you have to, with that being said, I think we also should be fair in our, way we go about things. And you know what? Tip of the cap to the officiating crew in Game 7. They let them play hockey. The one penalty that was called was a no. There's nothing they could do anyway. Shot over the glass, automatic.
There's nothing you can do.
Nothing you can do. So you know what? Tip of the cap to those guys. They deserve props. They let it go. The thing that what gets me about that though is if you can do that for that game, why can't you be a bit more like that for other games? Right, a little more consistent that way. I don't know. I guess until you're and you
call what you see, Duke. I mean, I've obviously done little recreational hockey or whatever, and obviously I can't compare to what these guys are doing, but I don't know if they're told to let stuff go. I don't know. Maybe they just get together and say, you know what, it's got to be. You can't do that all the time. I don't know. It's you call what you see, I guess, but yeah. Shout out to Brett Hull's liver. Exactly. That man was drunk for the whole fucking 2 weeks. He's probably still. His liver's got to be better than mine. Crying out. Oh, shit, that dude was drunk.
Oh. And that was Joe Namath. Joe Namath 2.0.
Holy smoke. That guy was never sober. The whole. Hey, got to give him credit.
But getting back to the official thing, because as most of our viewers know, and if you don't know, Troy was a minor league umpire in Major League Baseball system for a number of years. And so he, some of the stars that you've seen up there, he's definitely, umpired for and things like that. But you also did playoff games of that. Did anybody ever come in from, the hierarchy of umpiring and say, okay, be a little more flexible with the strike zone because it's a playoff or anything? Never was you told any of that?
Never. I did 6 championship series, Duke. I did 3 all-star games even. Nobody even said that then, which, if anybody's going to say be flexible with it or liberal with the strike zone, that would be the time in an all-star game where nobody's there to watch guys walk, and nobody ever told you, they let you do your job. So, and I can only assume it's the same in the highest level because, we were there, obviously. And, yeah, no, I think it's just all you can ask for is to be consistent, Duke. I think they were consistent in that last game. I mean, they let everything go. Obviously, game to game, sometimes it depends on who's watching and view. I mean, everybody can complain about certain calls, and it's not perfect, but you can only ask to be consistent. And that's the way it goes, and we can't complain. We can't complain about the officiating in that series overall. I mean, obviously there was a couple of calls. There was a big one, obviously, earlier on in the series. We won't bring it up, but that's the way it goes. You got to adapt. So that's how it goes.
Right on. All right, so we'll move along to the NBA final, because as you know, we didn't have no show directly after these things got done within a day of itself. So the Raptors bring home their first ever title. Did you watch any of that did you watch that Thursday night game at all? Or
yeah, a little bit of it. I didn't see no. Well, I watched some of it.
Right on.
Highlights. I know enough was going on.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you want to bring it in, but yeah, I mean, like most of the people that are watching this thing, I think, just casual Raptors fans probably that just jumped on board. I saw somebody said something on Twitter. Like there was like 3,000 Raptors fans in May, and there was 3 million in June. But I mean, that's fine. You know what? Jump on. It doesn't matter. It was a great thing. If freaking Clay, what the hell's his name?
Kawhi?
Yeah, Clay.
Clay Thompson.
Clay Thompson. Oh my God, I had a if Clay Thompson doesn't get hurt, we don't know. I mean, she's probably going back to Toronto, but he did, and everybody's. What are you gonna do? Toronto, they can only play who's out on the floor. You know what? That's all they can do, and they did, and they did well, and they kicked ass, and they brought it home, and that's good. I guess the whole thing is, is Kawhi gonna sign? And nobody really knows. Only Kawhi at this point. All speculation. I have no idea, but you know what? Like you said on Facebook or whatever, or said on your podcast, Duke, it's a great thing for Canada. I mean, Canada already in basketball. I mean, we've already had a couple of number one overall draft picks from Canada. With Bennett and with Wiggins, and there was six. I think there were 6 Canadians drafted in the NBA draft here the other night.
Okay.
Things are only getting better in Canadian basketball, and you got to tip your hat. I mean, the Raptors just coming in 25 years ago, whatever it was, is definitely one of those things that's brought Canadian basketball to the forefront. I mean, RJ Barrett, number 3 overall, is going to be a superstar with the Knicks, I think. Hopefully he's not, because I hate the Knicks, obviously.
True.
You gotta cheer for him a little bit, and he seems like a good kid. And you know what? It's great. It was great for Canadian basketball. It was great for Canada. It's one of those things, not like the NHL where you got 5 or 6 teams and people have, hate Toronto or hate Vancouver or hate Montreal or whatever. I mean, everybody in Canada they jumped on board. I didn't really jump on board. I'm a Celtics fan. I'm not going to lie. I wasn't against the Raptors, but I'm not going to say I jumped on the bandwagon, but good for them. It was fun.
Yeah, and I think them winning it probably will add a bit more spark to. And again, we know basketball has kind of escalated here in Canada, but I think with them winning a title, it's definitely going to enhance it more and more, especially in high school sports. I think you'll see, probably more kids coming to try out and things like that, because there's a lot to be said for what the Raptors accomplished. I mean, for them, even in the Milwaukee series, they weren't favored to win there. And, they overcame that. They weren't really the favorite in the finals against Golden State. And, I mean, they handled it like a championship team. Like you say, you can only play who's there. And that's the mark of a champion. They recognized that the door was open to win it and take it. They probably should have done it in game 5, but anyway, something broke down and it didn't. But they came back and they did what they needed to do in game 6. And I would agree, Klay Thompson was getting red hot. And there's a guy, he's almost like a Scottie Pippen type player. He's well known, but he's never really been given those accolades that he probably deserves. But that guy's a good basketball player, I think. So it is what it is. For us, we've probably covered more basketball than we probably have seen in the last 15, 20 years. So,
Rich and T-Mac, they like it. They like it, but, they're not here, so I get it.
Yeah.
It's a while. Nobody wants to hear us talk about it.
Maybe.
Good job, Raptors. Good job. What do you think, though, dude? Is Kawhi? I mean, obviously, it's all speculation. We're not going to know for another week or so. But what are you thinking? Is Kawhi? I mean, obviously, Kawhi goes. This whole thing is out the door. I mean, they're not they might be a contender, but they're not a favorite next year in the East for sure without Kawhi Leonard.
No, I think what Toronto has done for themselves, and Kawhi was treated very, very well. And that kind of stuff matters with players today, right? And Toronto has gotten nothing, from what I understand, good vibes in terms of player, people talking about the city, talking about the fan base. Next year, I don't think he's coming back, because I think if he wasn't moved to tip his hand at that parade, like, he'll never see a parade like that again. That bunch of players will never ever see a celebration like what they were privileged to the other day. They're just not going to see it. There's no city that can put something on like that, and that you would have the specter of the whole country being locked in for that day, right? So I'm sure it's probably not going to be an easy decision for him. I mean, right now he's not the king of a city. That guy's the king of a country, right? I mean, his marketing him now in this country will be huge. He's looking at big dollars, in addition to the fact that he can get the max contract with the Raptors.
Right.
Their cap allowed. He's in position to do it, right? So he has that. Again, they say it comes down to the family thing for him, and you have to respect a guy for that, right? And if he feels, the Clippers, which seems to be the choice, most people are saying where he will go, is going to be it. Then, geez, I don't know. I would be shocked if he does pick Toronto. And getting back to what I wanted to say is that, but I think the experience, him talking about Toronto in a good light, in that they may not be a contender next year, but I think the free agency class that comes into next year, Toronto's going to be in the discussion for some of these guys down the road. And I think that's one of the big things that's done. Winning the title has done for Toronto is now they're going to be more looked upon when it comes to free agency than they might have been without getting there and winning it and stuff. So just my 2 cents on it.
Yeah. Well, in any sport, I mean, when you win, you're going to attract some people, right? You're going to attract people who want to win and things like that. And people that might have been a little skittish about coming to Canada, I think they're probably less skittish now for sure. Not just because they won, but because of the way Kawhi and all these guys have been treated over the past little bit. And he'll never pay for donaires again. Exactly. I don't know. That might not be good, Link. I don't know if that's a good thing, man. Even if I didn't pay for donaires, I don't know if I still wouldn't eat anymore. I don't think it's hard on you. Holy crap! Pardon the pun. Anyway, no, but you know what? He was at the Blue Jays game the other day. They gave him a stand ovation there when he was walking down the aisle. Stuff like that. And it's like you think. You know what? Is he at the Blue Jays game? He's trying to embrace the city or whatever, or is he just trying to milk every little bit of goodwill he's got left before the announcement is made that he's leaving? And obviously, people will always love him here in Canada and in Toronto for bringing him that title, but it's not going to be the same if he does leave. That's for sure. He's gonna, but who knows? You know what? Only he knows. And I'd love to see him stay. I would love to see him stay for another year or two. I don't think he'll be long term, but I think we talked about it in another show. They're the 1-1 or something like that he can get a max deal and still be a free agent in 2 years and get like more money, which obviously has got to be a factor. Money's always a factor with everybody. Good for him. I hope he does stay. I'd be surprised if he does, but I don't know. I don't know shit. Let's be honest.
Yeah. So there was a question, and I was going to kind of wait, and I can always bring it up again for Rich and T-Mac because they are more the basketball guys. But what's your thinking on this whole? Like the thing I see at the NBA is very much a players-run league. Of all the 4 sports, the athletes have a huge impact on the landscape of the league in terms of how these teams line up. So when you hear these reports about, so and so is talking with so and so, and they're going to both go to City A, and then these two are talking and stuff like that. Do you think that's a good thing for the sport? Is it something that can only happen with the NBA, or what's your overall thoughts of that? Does that help their sport, or does it help it?
At first I didn't think it helped it, but I think it does help it. It's one
Yeah.
of those things that I think the NBA offseason is almost as exciting as the season. Like who's going where and what super team's going to happen here, and you can almost, it's not like it's always the Celtics and the Knicks and the Lakers that are getting these super teams. I mean, we're talking Cleveland, we're talking Miami, we're talking Oakland. It's not. If they were all going to LA and Boston and New York and Chicago, people would be like, oh, well, screw it. I'm not watching in freaking Memphis. But because they go to different places, I mean, LeBron started it, obviously, going down with his boy Dwayne Wade in Miami and things like that. I hate it then. But we always say, it's, the owners control this. So it's the players become pay to see. When there's a strike, it's the players become pay to see. Pay those guys.
Yeah.
But in this one league, it does look like you said, I think the players got a little more control than they do in NFL and baseball and hockey. And, and then people are pissed at that. So, you can't have it both ways. I mean, yourself, you had a buddy. If you have a buddy and you can go to work in whatever city you want to work and work with him and make as much money as you can, you got a chance to win. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Can't blame them. There's still, I don't know. I think there's more parity in the league now than there was 10 years ago. There used to be, there was only 2 or 3 teams that were going to win the thing. Now, who picked Toronto at the start of this year? They were one of the top teams, but not, maybe top 5, maybe top 6.
Mm.
So I don't think it's hurting the league. I really don't.
Mm. Well, I wonder because last year, when you had LeBron in the East, he'd been such a force for so long. It makes you wonder, had he stayed in Cleveland, would we be having this discussion about Toronto? I mean, that's all, it's all here. It's neither here nor there now. But there is a guy who, man, they just had to get a couple players with him, and he just dominated. Of course, it didn't always result in a championship because Golden State had taken him out a couple of times and things. So I don't know.
Then he went to the Lakers, and they had a good young team. Look what happened. They didn't even make the playoffs. So
No. Well, him getting hurt didn't help it.
No, it didn't help, but I don't know. They didn't even come close.
But now they're coming up. Wasn't there a trade this past week?
That's the thing, right? The Lakers just traded. Well, number one, they traded Lonzo Ball, so they haven't got to worry about that fucking asshole, his father. He's over in New Orleans now. They can worry about him, right? But I mean, they got Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis and LeBron. It's like, you know what? Just put fucking me and you with them, and they probably finish top 2. So, they're going to be back. There's no doubt about that. And with Golden State being obviously Durant's out all next year, Thompson, might be back in March, which not a huge deal. Everybody thinks that's such a huge deal. They're going to finish in the playoffs. They're going to be top 8. They proved this year that you really, I think he's going to be fresh coming back there. So don't count Golden State out because Thompson's going to be out most of the year. Durant's not going to be there, but they won without him before. So, but I mean, the Lakers obviously with Anthony Davis is, he's the top 5 player in the league. He's definitely. Yeah. And I mean, basketball is that. I mean, there's only 5 guys on the court. There's only 12 guys on the team. One guy makes a huge difference. It isn't baseball. It isn't hockey. It isn't football where, you need more than one guy, obviously. Guy can make a huge difference in this game. And that's obviously Toronto just proved that with Kawhi.
Yeah. Yep. Well, clearly, the Raptors winning has definitely sparked basketball interest now. Again, you and I aren't Raptors fans. We didn't jump on the bandwagon. If they won, great. If they lost, whatever. But it certainly, I think, next year rolls around or over the summer, causes one to kind of look at the headlines a little bit more and have a bit of a curiosity going into next year, whereas this year we probably didn't even give it a second thought and stuff. So Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, it's always fun. I mean, dude, there's watch parties across the country, man, and like outdoor watch parties here in Halifax. They had 2,500, 3,000 people down there at that new Nova Center or whatever it's called there, Rogers Place. I mean, people outside there watching that. I mean, that happened across the country, you know, things like that. I mean, it's great for business. It's great for businesses across the country. People are drinking, people are eating, people going downtown. It's great.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
that happens. There's nothing wrong with that, you know, all across the country. So if it gets people fired up for any sport, as far as I'm concerned, that's fine with me. I mean, you know, hockey is always, like you said, hockey's always king, always will be. But, you know, it's kind of nice to see another sport take a little limelight a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Okay. Tomorrow we have the women's soccer team Canada going to be playing Sweden. The winner of that gets to play Germany. How's the road for Canada? Going to be a hard one, or can they do it?
Good. It ain't sweet. It ain't the best. I watched that game, actually, Duke. Watched that game against the Dutch. You know what? Netherlands took it to him. I talked to, you know, Axel, you know, Jeff Axel. He's my resident soccer guru kind of thing. He didn't watch the game, but I actually was texting him, and he's like, man, they shouldn't get beat by this team. I'm like, man, they look better. They look better than Canada did. As far as, you know, my uneducated soccer brain, I thought the Dutch were pretty strong. I mean, they're 8th in the world. Canada's 5th. It's not a big difference. It was too bad. I mean, they both knew they were in. You know, Sinclair scored a goal, then they took her out. So they took her out and they were down a goal. So, you know, you're just wondering, how much did they really care that they won that? It was more important to them to rest her for the next game, which, you know, who might have questioned it? I don't know. But you know, tomorrow, Sweden's one of the top. I mean, they beat the States in the Olympics there last year. They're a strong team. They're a good defensive team from what I see. I think if Canada just got to, I think they just got to get a goal from. I mean, Canada's a good defensive team too. So I would say under 2.5 might be the play. If anybody's betting, just. But no, I mean, I'd like to see Canada win that one. I mean, you know, they got those guys, and they got Germany. Germany was tough. What was it yesterday? They beat Nigeria, smoked them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm no expert on it, but Canada's one of the top teams in the league. They can beat anybody. Really would like to see them. I want to see them. I think they're on the opposite end of the bracket of the States. So I really want to see them get up against this gold medal game, and I can take those guys out. You know what? And I mean, can we talk about that, Duke? Can we talk about this whole 13-0 bullshit that they were, you know, did you see this? The U.S. girls are celebrating like it was freaking 4th of July.
No, didn't catch that one.
Oh my God! Well, okay. So anyway, so the U.S. girls, you know, they're the top team in the world, have been for some time. They're playing Thailand, which is Thailand. I think it's the first time they've ever qualified. First time they were ever qualified. They got like 12-year-olds on the team or something like that, probably. And you know, they're up 3-0 in the first half. Okay, it was a decent game, and then the U.S. just starts blowing them out. And you know what? There's a goals for and against. I understand. Got nothing against anybody running up the score if there's a goals for and against for a tiebreaker. But that 9th goal, when Megan Rapinoe, whatever the fuck her name is, she scores it. She goes, she slides. Curry. That's right. Yeah, it was like she scored the goddamn World Cup winning goal. I mean, she didn't celebrate. She celebrated more than Brandy Chastain in 1999 when she's China, that penalty shot, ripping off her shirt, for crying out loud. Only thing is nobody wants to see Megan Rapinoe rip off her shirt. So anyway, so she's sliding around like a fucking crazy woman. And then they get picked off. People bring it up and say, stop rubbing it in. It's like, you know what? Act like you've been there before, you bitch. I'm sorry. I'm pissed off. I just want Canada to come up against them and knock them out and then rip off. I hope Christine Sinclair rips off her shirt and shoves it in her throat. On a little tangent there, Duke. I don't know. Can you tell I didn't rehearse that?
We rehearsed that with that. Yeah,
No, I didn't. You can tell I didn't. No.
2 hours of that. We tried to.
Yeah, I know. No, but you know what? But there is one thing though. I want to bring that up now. So we had a little thing on Twitter or on Facebook there with Link, and people were all ripping on them, and I agree. You know what? It was shitty. There's no reason for running up the score and celebrating like it's 4th of July on the 9-0 goal. But the same thing happens, and I swear by it because I was there at the game in Halifax in 2004 when the Women's World Cup was here and the Canadian national team was running up the score on like China or Russia or somebody and beating them 13-0, same thing, and celebrating like it was freaking, winning the Olympics. And it's like, you know what? And ever since then, I've hated the Canadian women's Olympic hockey team. It's like, but there's no reason for it. There's no reason for celebrating these people, these shitty teams, these shitty countries, man. They're just happy to be there, man. Take it easy on them.
All right, so that's a good point, and it'll lead into our next point, which will take us to the American League East today in Boston.
Take it easy on us.
In Boston today, Marcus Stroman yelling at the Boston Red Sox bench after his punch-out in the 6th inning. What do you think about that? Were you offended by it, or are you like, hey, man, that's just baseball?
I'm not offended by it, but I think he's a fucking dickhead.
Did you watch to the end of the game? Did you watch the post-game show on Sportsnet after the game was over?
Nope.
Okay, so they come on there. It was, you know what? They were fully within their right because they talked about Stroman. They talked about his antics there. And they said, it's all in perspective, right? And they said, we want you to listen to that portion of the game from the Nesson broadcast where they had Remy and Eckersley and O'Brien. And so they play it, and it was funny how Eckersley, who is a pitcher himself, right? He was kind of put out by what Stroman had done.
Did you see Eckersley in his prime? Did you see?
Well, here's the thing.
Okay.
Then they hauled footage back. I think it was against the Blue Jays back in the 80s when they Oakland had the powerhouse and they played the Jays and the ALCS. And what did Eckersley do? The exact same thing where he takes that, points at
Seen it many times.
There he is. He's just ripping on Stroman like, yeah, he's got some dog in him, and
both of them wrong, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, it's like Remy said. Remy said, I don't have a problem with it if he looks into his dugout and he's kind of. So I'm thinking, what did Remy might have said to Eckersley after the fact? Like, man, what the fuck you doing? Well, you did that. You originated.
There's footage of you there, Dennis. There's you doing the same thing, maybe even worse. But the key is, though, dude. You know what? If they want to, everybody's bitching about, guys watching home runs and getting hit and all this stuff. And you know what? These are rules, unwritten rules. But since the day baseball was created, you shouldn't be showing up your opponent. And you know what? You want to throw all those out, fine as kind. But Stroman better not have a problem with somebody hitting a fucking 450-footer and watching it and walking around the bases. As far as I'm concerned, if you want to do that, that's great, but you can't have it both ways. So when they hit one off you, you better take it. That's what I think anyway.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, everybody has something to get themselves fired up or whatever. Like, all right, Marcus, you know what? You're 21 games out of fucking first. I know you're pitching all right. You struck somebody out. Big fucking whoop-de-doo. That's what you get paid for, as far as I'm concerned. And, I don't know. Be a professional. There's a difference between being fired up and pointing and all that stuff. I'm not, you know what? Dennis Eckersley, as far as I'm concerned, I thought he was in the wrong back in the day.
Yeah, yeah.
And you can't, the pointing and it's one thing about being fired up yourself, but when you start yelling at the other team, then get pissed off because they yell back.
Yeah. Well, here was a point that Joe Siddle, one of the guys that works with Jamie Campbell afterwards, and a point that he made, which is legit, because he said if you kept watching, he said when Stroman got off the field and he's sitting in the dugout and he's talking to his teammates and he's pointing over at the Red Sox dugout, right? And he said, here's the thing. He said, in the course of a game, there's a lot of chatter. There was a lot of snipping going back and forth. And he said, you really don't know what was said to provoke him to say that. So you having umpired close to that level, would he be correct in that there's a lot of shit going back and forth through the course of a game and that maybe
yeah, but Stroman does it all the time. Is there snipping all the time? If there is, there's a reason for it. You know what I mean? I mean, Stroman's always in this predicament, right? He's always in one of these predicaments. This isn't the first time this has happened.
No.
And like I say, if you think that's fine to do, then don't fucking bitch when the other team does it to you, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
There's a line, right? And, it's all fine and dandy because he doesn't have to get up to the plate is the problem.
Right. And, well, I guess that puts an argument in for doing away with the DH.
Yeah, but that's never going to happen, dude. Unfortunately, that's going to go the other way, if anything else. I mean, I think we proved this week that, with Scherzer taking a bunt off the barrel right into the nose.
Yeah.
I mean, then Soraka, your boy Soraka today, a Canadian boy. I don't know if you saw that. He got nailed in the forearm. He could be out.
Yeah.
You know what? These pitchers are way too valuable. Nobody comes to the ball game. Nobody turns on the TV to see them hit. This game is that we love, that both of us love. Changes have to be made to make it a little more appealing to the masses. And I think, obviously, one of them is get the goddamn pitcher out of there. Nobody wants to see them hit. It's horrific, and.
Well, we're going to get to that. That's going to be part of our last segment called State of Baseball. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the American League East. And as most people know, where it comes to the Red Sox, you're generally the optimist, and I always take the pessimistic role. And nonetheless, it has gained us pretty good success, 4 world championships. So not prepared to change my stance anytime soon. But let me say this. Are you at this point, and I know there's still almost 80 games left, half a schedule. Are you concerned at all about the Red Sox? Let's not even talk about the division. I don't think the division is within their grasp now. A lot has to happen for them to be able to get it. So now you're looking at trying to get home field for a 1-game playoff. Does it even matter? Does this Red Sox team, let's just be real about the whole thing, does this Red Sox team got a chance to get back to the World Series? All things being equal.
Well, all things won't be equal because the Red Sox actually have the means and the opportunity to go out there and try to get what they need, hopefully at the deadline.
Mm-hmm. Do you think they will?
I hope so. I mean, they're close enough. Yeah, I mean, you know what? They're 1 game out of the wild card right now, even as shitty as they played. I mean, if we'd have had this show Saturday morning, Duke, we'd have been on cloud 9 after that comeback against the Blue Jays. Being down 5-1, they come back and win the games like holy shit, and then the next day they're up 6-1 and they gave it right back to them. What the hell was that? That was quite a turn of events, I gotta say. Wasn't expecting that.
Well, we were home. Yeah, it was 6-1. We were here, and then we went to a friend's place having a birthday party, and I took a quick look at my phone. Fuck, it's 8-6, Toronto. What the hell?
It was funny because Friday night we're watching the game, and it was 5-1, and it was like, Cassidy was there. I was like, oh, I don't even want to watch it. This is bullshit. Woke up next morning, it's like, oh shit, they won. It's like, great. Then last night, so we're sitting there and it's 6-1. Like, oh, you guys want to watch a movie? We watch a movie. Cassie's like, it'd be funny if the Blue Jays did the same thing the Red Sox. I said, no, it wouldn't be very funny. Well, obviously it wasn't. So, turn a bit of fair play, I guess. But
yeah.
Anyway, no, but to answer your question, I mean, obviously the bullpen is the shits. And I still think they shouldn't have gave Kimbrel what he wanted. I know you might disagree. think Kimbrel he's not the shutdown closer he used to be. He wasn't worth what he was asking for.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean they should just forget about the bullpen. I'm not saying they should have forgot about the bullpen. There were people out there that they could have got for a lot less that could have shored up that bullpen a little bit. Obviously they haven't, and it's hurting a lot. Last year was an aberration. Nobody, that team wasn't a 119 win team. We know that. They're not a 500 team as they are now. They're somewhere in between. You got half a season, like you said. I think they got a good chance to make the playoffs. Like you said, the Yankees are strong. I mean, they won 100 games last year. Nobody even knew.
No.
Because the Red Sox were so good. But that doesn't mean you can't beat them. With their pitching, you can beat anybody. They can be beaten. That's for sure. Just get to the playoffs. You got to get there. And, there's a big pile there for the wild card. There's 5, 6, 7 teams there within a couple games, I think, for the wild card. Rays are coming back to earth. I expect them to be there, but they're not going to run away with that first wild card. That's for sure. Right. I think, if the Red Sox can pick up a couple of pieces and not big pieces, I mean, their starting pitching is fine. Bullpen is a little shaky. I don't know. Holt got hurt there coming around third on that stupid. I don't know if you watched the game today.
Yeah, today, yeah.
Man, oh, man. I don't know who the fuck he thought was running. The guy was throwing from deep shortstop. I mean, his left fielder wasn't much. He was pretty much on the dirt when he let the ball go. It's like, holy shit, where do you think you are? Like, there's no way that man, I mean, come on. That wasn't, that was, I mean, they were down 2-0 at that point. Would have been bases loaded, 1 out. I mean, that's a big play right there.
Yeah.
There's 2 outs. I could see it a little bit, try to make something happen. 1 out, I think I stop him there. I mean, it's a 150-foot throw at most. Any big league left fielder is going to make that throw. Barry Bonds could make that throw.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway. No, I mean, I'm worried. Yeah, they're not a juggernaut for sure. But I mean, sales started to come around. I mean, he had a pretty shitty night there Friday night for him. Price is pitching well. If we can get, I think you mentioned this on podcast, Duke. I don't want to take away from your thunder a little bit, but if Eovaldi comes back, maybe they might not need him in that rotation. Maybe he goes to the bullpen, which he did so well in the playoffs last year. That changes everything.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm thinking, because when you look at the way they did things in the off season, and to just all of a sudden go by committee, I mean, the Red Sox have never been a team that entertains those kinds of things. They just never have done that nonsense. They've always had a closer. And I know the game's evolving, and everybody wants to be the new creator of how they're going to change baseball. Ever since Billy Beane came and tried to do Moneyball and all that, everybody wants to be the ones that said they changed the game. So I look at it, and I think, the change in the trade deadline got made over this past offseason, where now there's only one trade deadline, right? There isn't that kind of a plan B sort of thing up to August 31st, where you can make interleague trades and waiver things and all that. So I wonder if, their thinking was, we don't have to pay, number one, we don't have to pay Kimbrel what he's asking for, because we don't think that the position is worth that much. So let's just sample what we got. Let's see if this experiment can work. We feel we still have their offense never changed from last year, other than that foolishness of putting Mookie Betts second and Benintendi first. And I don't know what the fuck that was about. And there's no explanation to me that would make any kind of sense why you would tamper with your MVP the way they have. But anyway, that's another day. But I wonder if that's how Dombrowski looked at it. And now he's thinking, okay, clearly this isn't going to work. This experiment's going to work. So now you got a couple of options. Number one, you could use Eovaldi, right? Bring him back. You don't want to put too much more, like you've signed him to it. This is the first year of a 4-year deal. So you don't want to, kind of blow his arm out here in year one of the contract. So he has shown the ability to pitch strong and late in, like last year, his playoff run showed that he could handle, a closer role. So now it comes down to, do you keep him as the closer, or do you go out on the market and get a closer? Because there's going to be people who are going to want to trade who are out of it. The closer role is not, it's kind of like, getting to be like running back in the NFL, right? You can figure out a way. Or do they use Eovaldi? And as Chris Curry says, try to pick up Giles. No, Link said about be careful that Stroman isn't yielding a Sox jersey. I don't know if the Red Sox have the farm system. They have the pieces to be able to get some of these guys, do they?
I don't think so. He'll go to the Yankees before he goes to the Red Sox, I believe.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. And there's the thing about the Yankees. I'm going to tell you something. That Yankee team, as I'm watching it, they remind me a lot of last year's Red Sox team. Like they're playing with some passion, with some motive in that. I don't see that in the Red. That's the thing that's bugging me about the Red Sox. It's like, I don't know if they just think, okay, yeah, we're probably going to win the wild card, and then we're going to turn it on. Like that's risky, in my opinion. But they just don't seem to be. They don't have that. They don't have no passion. Like there's no real emergency about them.
I don't know, Duke. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you watch more than I do. From what I've seen, they came back the other night. I mean, yeah, they like I say, they gave it back yesterday, but you don't come back from down 5-1 in the last couple innings if you're packing it in. I mean, they won 6 in a row before that last week. I don't know. I think, I mean, to be honest, I think obviously this is the way it is, and this is the way it's supposed to be. Me, the optimist, you, the pessimist. I mean, you're the, you think there's some kind of conspiracy going on that, because half of them didn't go see Mr. Trump, that, the other half are pissed. Like, no, I honestly don't think that has anything to do with it whatsoever. It had nothing to do with it. We've got people in this locker room and in all clubhouses across America that have way different beliefs, different cultures, different whatever. And I don't think that has anything at all to do with this team. It just, they're just not winning as much as you think they should. And I think they should. I mean, I don't think they're obviously not 108 win teams. Not many teams that are 108 win teams, but they should be a 93, 94 win team probably. They still get a chance to get there, but I don't think it has anything to do with the White House or this guy, he's mad at this guy or whatever. They're just not performing, up to snuff.
Right. Well,
everybody wants an excuse, right? Everybody wants a reason. I mean, reason, I don't know. Maybe they just played over the head last year, which is fine.
Yeah. Well, I hope you're right. I hope that, and again, I certainly can't prove the whole White House thing. Sometimes you got to be careful what gets printed in the media and stuff like Twitter and all that stuff, because everybody's looking for, something, coming up with something so you follow them and all that kind of thing. So you do have to be careful about it. But it was a bit of it was something, I'm sure, that was, was touchy, probably in some ways and whatnot. But I would hope that they would be professional enough to say, you know what, we're the defending world champions and we have a chance. Tell you, when this year started, I looked at that team, I thought, and I thought they were going to address the closer issue. I thought this team was going to be a team that could be like the mid-90 Yankees and win like 3 in a row, is what I felt about this team. But it still might happen. But for me, it's a little concerning at the moment. Of course, it's concerning after day one for me. But anyway.
For all of us do. I mean, we want to see, like I said before, I mean, you want to see your team make it as far as they can make it. It's not a point of, like Sean Simmons, you say, oh, it's not, it doesn't matter. We got knocked out in the first, you got knocked out in the second. You're trying to tell people we did better than you. No, it's not that, actually. It's not that at all. It's that I want to watch my team go as far as they can go. It's more fun to watch them in the playoffs and as far in the playoffs as possible than to watch two teams I don't give a shit about. That's sure. I don't think anybody's, I don't think I'm being crazy when I say that. I mean, in any sport. I'm disappointed when my team gets knocked out because not that they lost. I'm not getting a ring. I'm not getting a World Series share. It's because I want to watch them next week or tomorrow or whatever. I want to keep watching them as far as they can go. And the farther they can get to the end, the more exciting it is, obviously. So, that's what we watch sports for.
Right. Fair enough. So we're going to conclude this episode talking about, where are we? There we go. The state of the game of baseball. And I talked about a few things this past week on my podcast and whatnot. You did raise a good point here earlier So what's your, like, to me, what I find is one of the things that's hindering baseball, and I think even basketball, maybe with all that's gone on, with the way Canada got involved and all that. I think basketball is kind of narrowing their gap with these other two. Well, NFL's king of kings. It's just, you're not going to defeat that in the States. But I don't know. In Major League Baseball, their star power that they have, and they got some good. I mean, they got Mike Trout, who might possibly go down as the greatest player of all time when all is said and done. And these guys just are not very marketable. I mean, that's my opinion. What do you see with that part of the game?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to say this, Duke, because I know you won't say it. I want to tell you people that are watching right now, Duke started this podcast in the last couple of weeks, Sunday Night Sports Guys podcast on Anchor. I don't know. I get it on Spotify. It's on his Facebook page. And let me tell you something. Duke does a great job. I know he's not – he does an awesome job. It's about 20 minutes each one. Talks a little bit about sports all by himself. He might have guests later. But I think it's great, and you guys should be listening to it, as far as I'm concerned. Duke didn't ask me to say that. I'm just saying it. Anyway, okay. So, good job, Duke. I mean, it really is. We haven't even talked about it, but I think you've done an awesome job. I really, really like it.
Well, I appreciate it.
But anyway, so, yeah, as far as the problem with that is, Duke, is that Mike Trout is not a very marketable guy. He's not. No. He's a quiet guy, right? And you can't make him something that he's not. Now, the thing is, Bryce Harper was supposed to be that guy. He's marketable. He's kind of out there. He's not afraid to flip his hair and all this kind of stuff. The problem is he goes to Philadelphia and now he sucks. Or he's not like a top 5 player right now. He's kind of gone down a little bit. With baseball, if you're in New York, you're in Boston, you're with the Cubs, Dodgers, they just get marketed. They get marketed more, just those teams. It's like any sport, they're the top teams, they market, Big Papi was the guy, if Big Papi stayed in Minnesota, would he have been Big Papi? He was with the Twins. He wasn't going to be Big Papi. He was in Boston. Obviously, he did what he did in the playoffs and turned out to be, definitely Mr. October more than Reggie Jackson, I think.
Right.
It's tough to make these guys marketable. I mean, I know you say you got to make these guys marketable. It's tough if they don't want to be. I mean, Bryce Harper wants to be marketable. He's just not likable.
Yeah.
So I'm concerned. If he's not on your team, you don't like it.
No.
That guy's been a kid ever since he come in the league. But if he was playing with the Red Sox, I'd love him. I'm sure. It's like Marchand.
Yeah.
But
for sure.
I don't know. I mean, Trout's one of these guys. He's just low key. Does his business. Like you said, he could be one of the best players in history when it's all said and done. And if he was in New York or Boston, he would be up there. But he's not. He's on the West Coast. I mean, you're out in the West Coast. It's not that big of a deal for you to watch a game, but for us, staying up till 11:30 to watch first pitch.
Yeah. And that's where the bulk of your population is out on the East Coast, right? That's true. That's true for all sports. I mean, you look even at, the NHL, which here's McDavid, who, depending on who you want to argue with, is he the greatest player in the game today? Could be. There's an argument for it. Him and Sidney are the argument there. He is going to be the best player in the world at some point here in the next year or two. And, even the NHL doesn't do a hell of a job marketing with him, right? And again, you're right. When you talk about Trout and Harper, their personalities, Harper could be. I really think, I think what baseball needs to look at is kind of reverse psychology, because here's Manny Machado, right? People who don't like Manny Machado, I get it because of some of the antics he did last year. But you know what? Sports needs villains. You need villains in your sport to make it part of the entertainment, right? People who watch wrestling, why'd you watch wrestling? Because you had the hero and the heel, right? People watch hockey. Why? Because guys like Brad Marchand, whether they like him or not, and I always laugh at, especially some of the Toronto fans who get on about Marchand. But yet, you know what? You love every minute of his actions because it keeps you engaged in your sport, right? And I think this is what's happening with baseball, is that they don't have, like, bench clearing brawls don't happen hardly at all. They've really cut down on that kind of thing. Those are things that used to add to the game. Not that I think you go out and try to orchestrate bench clearing brawls and stuff, but pitchers would pitch up and tight, up and in on hitters a lot more than they do now. And just little things like that. Machado, I think, is great for the. I mean, I didn't like some of the stuff he did, but you know what? He draws interest. He creates people to be engaged because he's that villain, and people want to see the villain get their due, right? Get theirs. And so it's really a big dilemma for MLB, because true, you can't make somebody be something you want them to be, but I think you got to start kind of looking at some of your other stars, kind of your 1B type stars, and see if you got anybody with any kind of character. Stroman is another guy. Whether you like him or not, he's a guy that can create engagement for the sport because of his antics. Even though it's negative, one place you don't want to get is in the gray area. You either want to be extremely popular or you want to be extremely hated. Because if you're in those two spots, you got fan interest, because people will come to watch the ones they hate, and they'll come to watch the ones they love. They will not show up to watch in between mediocrity. And that's very evident in a lot of cities where, you look at their attendance records and stuff like that. It just don't work. So to me, that was one of the things I touched on this week, was the whole thing of promoting their superstars and things like that. But you had picked up on a point, and I apologize, I should have written it down. There was a point you picked up on here earlier. What was that again?
Holy shit, dude.
I forgot.
What are we talking about? I don't know. Anyway, let me comment on what you were saying. Maybe you'll think of it. Yeah, Machado, he's a great heel. The only problem was he signed in San Diego. Nobody gives a shit about San Diego Padres. That's the problem. If he'd have stayed in LA and a team that has a chance to make it to the playoffs, I think they could have marketed that a little bit more. I mean, right now he went to San Diego, and that's great for San Diego. I mean, it's so funny because we always say, we don't want everybody to go to the best teams. We want parity. But then a superstar goes to a small market, and then we're all pissed off because we're not going to see him very much, right?
Yeah.
A guy like Machado, which is one of the best players in the league, whether we love him or hate him. I hate him. You hate him. We all hate him. We should hate him. Put Pedroia out for life.
Took his career from him pretty well by the law.
Slide, obviously, he's a piece of shit. But it is what it is. But we can't really hate him because there he is in San Diego. We're never going to see him. Stroman, one of those things. If he gets traded to the Yankees, holy shit, that'll be awesome. Not if the Yankees are 58 games up. That won't be much fun. But if we end up playing them in the playoffs, you got to go against Stroman. That'll be a lot more fun. There's no doubt about that. But you say, I mean, we have that problem in all sports. So do I mean, basketball has their people that they market and things. I mean, the NHL, and I hate to bag on the NHL. This is not a bag on the NHL, but let me tell you something. Did you see that NHL award show the other night? Did you?
No, because that's an hour and a half of my life I'm not willing to give away.
Oh, my God, dude. Let me tell you something. This is all I'm going to say. Is that we were watching something. It was coming on at 9 o'clock here, starting at 9 o'clock. And I like Kenan Thompson. He's a Saturday Night Live guy. I like Saturday Night Live. And I actually make sure to record the first part of it because I didn't want to miss it. And by first hour in, Amber said, "Are you still going to watch this?" It was the most incredibly boring piece of shit I have ever seen in my entire life. A whole award show. And I mean, the players, all of them, sorry, they're not exciting. They're all sitting there. The only thing exciting is Brett Burns' teeth that aren't there. It was the most horrible show I've ever seen in my entire life. It was boring. It was unbelievable. So every sport has a problem as far as marketing people. I mean, these guys it was terrible. And I know Link will like that. Sorry, Link. You watched it all. But it wasn't much fun. And I tried. I recorded the first part of it. I was actually fast forwarding commercials, and then got about an hour in. I'm like, oh, I can't watch this anymore. I cannot watch it anymore.
Well, I tip my cap to you for the mere fact that you even considered doing anything like that. So,
yeah, I was disappointed. Usually these award shows are pretty good. I mean, it was in Vegas. Come on.
So the ESPYs has no worries about the NHL stealing any thunder.
I guarantee the ESPYs can't be any worse than that. I don't even know who's hosting. They can't be any worse than that. It was so choppy. I know, like it was like they put it together like our show, Duke. It was like our show put together. They didn't even rehearse.
So they're saying in the comments, Carey Price stole the show. Did you see that part?
You know what? I saw somebody put something on Facebook. I didn't make it that far. Obviously, that was in the last half of the show. I couldn't, I fell asleep or I turned it off because it was fucking so boring. Apparently, Carey Price did something, brought something out to some kid that his fan or whatever, which is good. I didn't see it. Heard about it. Heard it was, tearjerker and all this stuff. Some kid lost his mom to cancer. And
that happened during the regular season. I think we posted a story about that. It was in Toronto. It was when they played in Toronto.
Okay, maybe. And this was something he came out and did something
out there. Okay.
Although that kid was up there at the awards show, I can't believe it was that big of a surprise that Carey Price came out. Like if they asked him to come to the awards show, you knew something was going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, I didn't really look at it. I tried. I watched the first half of the show. It wasn't in the first half. I didn't see it. Carey Price, you know what? There's no doubt. The hockey players are good people, man. Most of them are good people. For the most part, good Canadian kids, as Don Cherry would say. I got no doubts. Carey Price, that was a great thing. Good thing he did for that kid, and good for him. From what I heard, like I say.
Yeah.
But still, it was pretty. As far as the award show itself was pretty fucking shit. But yeah, I can't remember what I said, dude. Something to do with the baseball. I don't know.
Well, anyway, I do have one thing about
baseball. You know what about that extra inning game the other night? I know that wasn't what we brought up, but
no
discussion about that. You know what? You said this on your podcast. And when I was listening, I got to say, dude, when I was listening to it, it was after the 17-inning game. The Red Sox played the Twins the other night. And when you came on there and I said, Duke, he's gonna advocate for what they were talking about last year about putting a guy on second in extra innings, fucking beer softball league rule. And I said, oh my God, I can't believe Duke's going to say this. Can't believe, because you were saying about, I'm a traditionalist, but in this case, not. And I'm like, no, I think it's got to be a tie game after 12. That's what I thought before I even heard what you said. Duke says, you play 12 and then it's a tie. I can't believe it. We were on the same exact page. Believe it, dude. Same exact page. I totally agree with you. Stuff like that. There should not be 17-inning games in the regular season. There's no doubt about it. I don't think it's a gimmick. You don't need to be the NHL and go to 4-on-4, 3-on-3, or anything like that. You play till 12 innings. If it's still a tie, you go home. It's a tie. Who cares?
Yeah.
It's a tie in the standings. I thought that was brilliant. I thought that was brilliant, Duke. I gotta say. I'm not even just saying this. I need another drink. I'm gonna smoke up your ass way too much here tonight.
It took forever for some brilliance to come out, but better late than never, right?
I don't know if it'll ever happen, Duke, but I think that's a smart move. Why not? Like you said, why not?
Well, because times have changed, and I get the whole traditionalist, and I have my thing in certain things, but everything's about change. Whether it's sports, life, the world, like economies, all that. It's just we live in times of constant change, right? And so if you're trying to preserve your superstars and all this thing, they do all this nonsense to protect pitchers and whatnot, and then you allow the risk for. It seems like these long games. There's a few that's happening a bit more than you normally have seen in the past. And was I a little irked because the Red Sox lost another one? Because it seems like they don't win too many of those ones. I was, but to me, it was the whole point of, you complain about pitching, but yet you're not doing anything really to to help your cause, right? I mean, who in the hell is going to be watching the game? Like after 12 innings back on the East Coast? I mean, that was even in Minnesota on a central time zone. That's a 2-hour difference, 1 hour difference. Well, it was 11 o'clock here in Alberta. By the time that game got done, I think it might have even been almost 12. But you see, nobody's watching at that time, right? Nobody cares. And to me, I start to think, baseball has some stuff that they have to, really start addressing, because I think they're losing fans, and you got a young generation coming up that you're not doing anything to keep them attracted to and things. So anyway, I just thought to mention that. We should mention, and I'm glad Brandon posted. He's headed over to England to see the Red Sox Yankee series. Man, I'm jealous of the man.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I do have to correct you on one thing. I did see a stat the other day. I think the Red Sox have the most extra inning wins of anyone.
Really?
They have 6 extra inning wins. Now I don't know how many extra inning losses they have. I didn't. But they do have 6 extra inning wins. But yeah, Brandon's hit it over. He's hit it over in a couple of days, I think. The Red Sox are playing the Yankees in London Saturday, Sunday next week, and this is pretty historic occasion. And Brandon's going to hit over there and take in the festivities.
So where is that at? Is that at Wembley?
Good question. I don't think he's at Wembley. I'm not Brandon, if Brandon's still watching, comment, Brandon. I'm not 100% sure if it's at. I don't think it's at Wembley, but it's at some. It is at a soccer stadium that they've converted for sure.
Okay.
And, I think the Red Sox play one series Monday to Wednesday, and then I'm sure the Yankees are the same. Probably got Thursday, Friday off to travel, and then they play a 2-gamer Saturday, Sunday. I think it's Red Sox home game actually. So the Red Sox gave up 2 home games in Fenway for this. I'm sure they got compensated or something. Well, you got the Red Sox ownership that owns Liverpool over there, football club over in England, and I'm sure maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. Some fans, I think it's a good thing. If I was a Red Sox season ticket holder, I probably wouldn't be too happy about missing Yankee games. But I think it's cool. Brandon's fired up. I know that he's fired up to go over. Can't blame him. And he's never been to Britain before, and I'm sure knowing Brandon, I'm sure he'll be quite subdued and not go out and talk to anybody or anything like that. I'm sure he'll be like all to himself.
When's he leaving for this? Is he leaving Tuesday?
I think he's leaving around maybe Wednesday, something like that.
So I'll give him a couple of days to take some of the site.
Yeah. Oh no, he's over there I think he's there for a week or so.
Okay.
Tickets probably more than anything. So yeah, he's going over, and I don't know if anybody's going with him. I don't know Brandon. No, he's probably just doing himself, and he'll probably end up having tea with the Queen or something by the end of it.
Well, everybody I've ever talked to that's been to London just finds it, one of the most fascinating cities in the world. It's kind of a little bit of New York, but a little bit of Paris at the same, kind of an in between is what I've heard it explained to. I've never been there myself and stuff. So, but your family heritage, Blades, that's English, isn't it?
That is English. Yeah, that's English. We're not. I haven't really looked into it too much, but I do know that it is English, Anglo-Saxon or something.
Right on.
Not one of those DNA guys. There it is. Wednesday night he leaves, staying beside the stadium. There you go. So, so no, it's awesome. I wish I could go with him. I didn't win the lottery last night, so I guess I can't. So.
Well, they got one there's one Tuesday. Lotto Max is on Tuesday.
Shot. Look at a shot.
I'm sure you can catch it. You can catch jump on a fucking red eye on Wednesday.
You win the Lotto Max, I guarantee you can. Give you no object. Anyway, no, it's good. I hope you have fun, Brandon. I hope you have a lot of fun. I think you will. And you got to. I mean, Brandon doesn't go anywhere without having fun. Man, go to Oak Park. down to the pit somewhere by himself and still have fun. He'll have some kind of drone out and look at deer or something. I don't know.
Well, you get older, you know, when I was younger, you know, every once in a while, me and Brandon or Bobby, we kind of clash on some things, fantasy sport, all that kind of thing. But you know, being older, I look back at Brandon, I think, you know what, I'm jealous of you in ways of how you've lived your life, because you don't live with definitely a guy who doesn't live with regrets too much. So this will be another feather in his cap, and I'm sure he'll give us plenty of. They can take my credit, but they won't take the memories.
There you go. Definitely done his bucket list already. List already, so you got to give him credit.
Well, you got the chance to do well. You know, man, that's man, going to London to watch the Red Sox and Yankees. That's pretty cool. I can't say I've done it sports wise. I can't say I will have done anything that cool. So I got to try to get to a Super Bowl. I got to do something.
There you go.
So you got anything else you want to touch on? Anything that crosses your mind?
No, I think we've done all right, Duke. Geez, an hour in. Holy smoke. I don't know if we made any sense, but happens.
Oh, Brandon says he's going to vlog. Vlogging is the new. You don't blog now. We don't blog.
Brandon, make sure you get, you know, one of those overseas packages on your phone, man. Don't come back with a big freaking bill. That's for sure.
Okay, we got one more highlight, Blades, and Jake Sanford. Who is Jake Sanford?
Oh, Jake Sanford. He was the guy that we talked about, the guy that got drafted by the Yankees.
Right. Last week.
Oh, so who brought that up?
Sean Carroll, and I think Chris Curry. Yeah, he just brought it up.
In case you didn't see the last show, we did bring that up on the last show, actually, that they're Jake Sanford's actually went the highest ever Nova Scotian drafted in Major League Baseball, like 105th, something like that, third round. Drafted by the Yankees. And I think, well, we'll go over it again. That and then there was an umpire from Dartmouth, actually, that got a job in Major League, or not Major League, but professional baseball, minor league baseball this past season, and this will be the first time that we have a Nova Scotian player and umpire together in professional baseball since yours truly and Darren Doucette back in the 90s. So actually, the Dartmouth Baseball Nova Scotia and Dartmouth Moosehead Drive, they had a little ceremony on the field last Thursday night before the game, and we had plaques. I gave a plaque to Alex Laurie, and Darren Doucette was there and gave a plaque to Jake, and it was like a recognition of their accomplishment and good luck kind of thing. So yeah, we didn't leave Jake Sanford out in the cold, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think he's going to the Penn Leagues from what I've heard. New York Penn League, which was the league I started in 1991, and hopefully he will. Hopefully he'll go up from there.
Yep.
Even if he is a Yankee, what are you gonna do?
Well, hey, I guess if he pitches for the Yankees, as long as he ain't pitching against the Red Sox, we'll root for him and all that good stuff. But I do have to say, Blazer, you have aged much better than Darren Doucette. You look good. You look pretty good. I think, man, you look pretty sharp for a guy coming up on 50 here this year.
Oh yeah, well, I don't know about that. Actually, Doucette. Well, I mean, you know what? He's got his own like baseball academy there in Dartmouth now. That's pretty much what's going on, and yeah, he's doing well. He's doing well. So
good stuff. Glad to hear that. Always good to see baseball prospering back home. And there's a young guy here. His parents are from Nova Scotia. They're become friends of ours, and he's pretty good. He's midget. I think he's in or bantam. I think it's last year at bantam. 15, and young guy, catcher and stuff. Not looking too bad, but damn, it costs to have kids in baseball. I thought hockey was expensive, and we won't get off on this too much. Maybe we'll save it as a topic for a future show. But his dad was telling me last night it's cost him $6,000 so far for baseball this year for their son. I almost.
What's he doing?
Well, they play all over the goddamn place. I mean, he plays out of Stony Plain, which is just west of down the road from us here in Spruce, and we're like suburb of Edmonton. And they play all over. They play all through Alberta, down in Medicine Hat, and what the hell's that other place called? Frig, I hate when Lloydminster, Medicine Hat, Lethbridge. That was that. Christ, way down there, damn nigh to the border and things. But $6,000 so far.
Wow.
On base.
Travel, I guess. That's we'll travel. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Well, I guess it's what we call an old school sports talk session. I mean, we missed T-Mac and Rich today because they do an awesome job themselves. But this was kind of fun. Just two of us hanging and banging for an hour.
That's what it's all about. Shit, we got 85 comments crying out. I haven't seen them yet. Probably don't want to.
They're all good. Yeah, all good stuff. All good stuff. None of them told us to quit drinking, so good crowd we got.
That's good. Well, I'm done now. I brought an extra one. Didn't realize. Right. Good enough.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap this thing up. Not sure about a show next week because we have plans for.
End of the day, don't even worry about it.
Yeah.
Wait a couple weeks.
Yeah, we'll wait a couple of weeks, and that should give us enough.
Unless if Canada goes World Cup final against the U.S., we might have to have something before that one.
We might have to do that and try to see if I can dig us up a real soccer guy.
That's it. Maybe we get Axel on or something.
Get Axel to come on. He'll get him to go over to your place, share the screen with you.
Yes.
All right, Luigi, thanks for coming on, and thank you, everybody, for watching. We really appreciate your support, and be sure to catch the podcast. I put it on the Sports Guys page every day. You just got to click onto it, and it just has the episode right there. So, Link, even you with your technical ability should be able to pull that one off. And listen, if you got some suggestions for the show, make a post on the page, or if you want to email me at sundaynightsportsguys@gmail.com for topics you'd like to see discussed, or you got a comment on something. All of that helps to make this show a lot easier, and it gives us something to address and think, because your guys' comments mean just as much to us as us just being here, talking every time. So, all right, guys, have a great one, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks' time. Bye for now.
Hey, boys. Thank you, everybody.